your actions aren't lining up with what God's word says, then people are going to stop listening to you. There are some things that are hindering people from listening to your sermon, and I'm afraid so many pastors aren't quite getting it. And so what I want to do in this video is I want to share with you 3 reasons why people aren't listening to your sermons, or maybe your sermons aren't having the effect that they should, that so many people are overlooking. And let me just tell you right now, I'm not talking about your posture, your stage presence, or even the content of the sermon itself. It's something way more important than those things. Make sure you stick around for all 3 reasons, because I'm saving the most controversial one for last, but it is crucial. Okay, so what is keeping people from listening to your sermons? What's keeping your sermons from being as effective as they could be? Reason number 1 we have here is your actions. Your actions. What I mean by that is your behavior, the way that you treat people, the things that you do, when you show up for them and when you don't. And when you show up, how you interact in those situations. All of that matters. People closest to you are observing the way that you treat people, and when they're aware, when they've seen that maybe the way you've treated people is not the kindest, it's not matching up with what God's word that you preach says, well then all of a sudden, they're not going to listen anymore. I think it's Richard Baxter. He said something like, one covetous action, one useless contention cuts the throat of many sermons. And he's right. If your actions aren't lining up with what God's word says, then people are going to stop listening to you. That's the first reason why your sermons aren't as effective as they could be. Number 2, it is your words. Your words. Here's what I mean. We should use edifying words, right? Paul says, and let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it may give grace to those who hear. And a lot of us, man, we can speak really good in the pulpit, but when we leave the pulpit, unfortunately, our actions aren't, or our words aren't doing that. Our words aren't giving people grace. Many times they're hurtful and they're daggers. And when we don't watch our words, people who hear those unkind words outside the pulpit now don't listen to our kind words in the pulpit. This will literally kill you. You have to make sure your words outside the pulpit are just as good as your words inside the pulpit. Hey, before we go to reason number 3, which you really should stay for, I just want to say to you that I'm not trying to condemn or hurt anyone. My goal is to help as many pastors as possible. I greatly appreciate the mentors and coaches I've had who've helped me improve, and so now I want to offer that to others. If I can be of any value to you as it relates to the topics that we're discussing here, please text the number on the screen or in the description, and I will do my best to be there for you. All right, let's go to the next reason. Okay, reason number 3, and this is by far the most controversial, but I have to tell you, I mean this with all love and care. This really does matter, but a lot of people want to ignore it. Reason number 3, people aren't listening to your sermons, or why they're not having the effect that they should, is because of your image. What do I mean by image? I mean, if you are overweight, listen, I'm not saying every pastor needs to have a 6-pack. But I'm saying when it's like you've reached the point of obese, okay? You are way overweight or whatever. You're not taking care of yourself. Or you're going into the pulpit, hair not done, not dressed nice, like you don't look like you're taking yourself seriously. Then I promise you there are people who are not going to listen to you. And here's what I mean. Think about the hypocrisy that us pastors have. We go into the pulpit and we'll preach, hey, through the Spirit, Galatians 5:22-24. Self-control is one of those. And yet, we don't have self-control when it comes to not eating too much food, to eating food in moderation or sweets and things like that. Again, I am not saying that every pastor needs it. If you want people to listen to you, go work out 7 times a week and get a 6-pack and get shredded. Not saying that. But what I am saying is, and we've all seen it, when you have a morbidly obese or just obese pastor in the pulpit, it makes people not take you seriously when you say, hey, you need to have self-control and not watch porn. You need to have self-control and not talk like that to your wife. But then they're looking at you and say, well, why don't you have self-control in the kitchen? Or whatever. Or, man, how come you don't take your job seriously? Like, you look like an unmade bed and you're up there trying to tell me how awesome God is, and yet you didn't even get dressed this morning. Guys, this really does matter. Your image does matter. And in case you're sitting here thinking like, this is crazy. Again, this is not meant to hurt anyone's feelings. This is for me, I have to take this seriously. At one point, about 4 or 5 months ago, I had realized I had allowed myself to get seriously overweight. I was about 255 pounds. And I realized, man, I'm not doing the best. Like, I need to fix this. And I started to take measures to get back into shape so people could take me seriously. And I preached hard against sin. And I started to realize, man, I was a little bit of a hypocrite in that. Or even my own words. Sometimes I have come across, in my effort to stand bold for God's word, I've said things that were harsh and not filled with grace. And so I've had to really work on that. And by no means would I say I've fully mastered it yet, but I'm striving. And I'm striving to get better at this because Paul himself, he says this in 1 Timothy 4:16. He says, pay close attention, or he says this, keep a close watch on yourself, on your life, and on the teaching. Notice that, keep a close watch on what? Your own life, yourself. And he says, persist in this, for by so doing you will save both yourself and your hearers. Notice he didn't just say keep a close watch on the teaching. And I think so many of us were like, why aren't my sermons working? And all we're doing is we're keeping a close watch on the teaching. What was the content? What was my cadence? How did I say it? But we're missing the first part. We got to keep a close watch on our life, our actions, our words, and our image. I hope this is helpful to you. If it is, make sure you like this. Make sure you share it with those who you think it would be helpful to. And subscribe to this channel. Turn on notifications. And let's all strive together to keep a close watch on, yes, the teaching, but also our life, because it matters. Until next time, I hope to see you in the next video. But until then, peace and love.